Hi my little shardies, welcome and welcome back. This is Christina with Shhh Art Online, and today we're going to be doing an image out of Imagimorphia by Kerby Rosanes. And I think what I'm going to do to cut down on the time frame that it's going to take, because I want to do this real time, is just do one part of an image. Last night I started fooling around with this ship right here, and I think I'm going to do the same thing on this page here and show you guys how to go ahead and do it if you like the way that ship looks. So these are the colors that I used yesterday. Let me go through with you. And it's the colors we'll be using on the ship today. Let's start with the browns. 1082 chocolate, 946 dark brown, 1099 espresso, 935 black, and 941 light umber. And that's what I used on the actual ship base here. So, and then on the mass I used 941 light umber, PC 140 eggshell, 939 peach, and then I put just like a little tiny bit of chocolate around here, around the outsides. So that's what I'm going to be doing with you guys today. And I'm going to start, I think, with the darkest color, which is espresso over here. And basically what I'm going to do is find the areas in this that are the darkest, that I think are the darkest. And Kerby helps you out a little bit by kind of darkening those areas for you. I'm probably just going to build on it, so see how it looks as it goes. See if anything needs to be darkened or lightened a little more. I don't want to do the entire image because I've been known to work on Kerby's images sometimes 20 or 30 hours, and I'm sure you guys don't want to sit here for 20 or 30 hours while I color. So I'm also going to bring this espresso up into the mast here, the darker parts. I'm not going like super dark, and I just like colored a little tiny bit outside the lines. Just kind of putting some of this color down on the paper. I'll go ahead and, you know, adjust as we continue to build on it. Make sure to keep your pencil sharp, especially if you're using Prismacolor like I am and you're trying to get into any of the detailed spots. You're probably going to want an extremely sharp tip. Okay, now I'm going to switch over to my next color, which is going to be dark brown, PC 946. I'm going to butt right up to the darker color there. Again, don't worry about being perfect with this right now. You just want to get the color on the paper. And I'm trying to keep it consistent with the way I think the wood grain would go. I don't want to color up and down this way because it probably won't look too good in the end. So try to keep with the direction that it's going. I can't really turn my page on here. You guys won't like the way that looks. So I went really lightly over the top there because I think I'm going to wind up making that this color fully, but I wanted to go ahead and again just put a little bit of color down there. I'm going to bring a little bit of this brown into the mast, and then I forgot this part right here, so I'm going to pull back out my Espresso PC 1099. I'm going to make it a little dark here so I can show a shadow of the mast. Alright, the next color I'm going to use is going to be my 1082 chocolate. And again, I'm going to go right up to the previous color. And overlap it a little bit. In areas like this where I couldn't color it this direction, I did little swirls, little circular motions. That way you're not getting the lines going up and down. It's like sometimes there's not enough room in the picture to go this direction. I'm sorry, there's a neighbor's dog that's barking and there's nothing I can do about that, so please bear with me. And I think before I finish this off, I'm going to put a little bit of the lightest color in there, because I don't want to go too far with that chocolate brown until I'm done. So that's going to be 941 Light Umber. For a more highlighted look, if you wanted to really highlight this area too, you could also use what you're going to use in the mask over here. I'm sorry, not the pink. You don't want to use the pink. PC 140. I can put just a little bit here so you can see that, but if you really want to lighten that area in the middle up, you can do the PC 140 instead of the chocolate, or with the, I'm sorry, instead of the light umber, or even with the light umber if you wanted to really give that like a highlight in that area. Alright, so now that you got your basic colors down, you're just going to build them up. So add your layers. So I'm going to go back with my 1099 Espresso. I'm just going to build up where I put that color. And this is kind of where I get in trouble with Kerby, because I can go and put like 20 layers on here. I'm not going to do that for the sake of this video, but the more you layer and watch it come together, it's kind of addicting for me. And I don't worry too much about little mistakes. I just go with it. It's supposed to be relaxing and having fun. I mean, I love the better my work looks, obviously, but usually I can cover it up if I make a little bit of a mistake. That said, if you're not pressing really hard, you might be able to use an eraser, but it's kind of difficult with colored pencils to be able to do that. Alright, and now I'm going to go back in with my 946 dark brown. Good thing is if you don't like the ship being brown and you want to make it a different color, you can totally do the same thing with other colors. You know, just make sure you have your darks, midtones, light tones, and just switch them out to a color preference of your choice. I know I said don't go up, but again, if you have to go against the grain, I'm using small little circles, and sometimes you don't have much of a choice. Alright, my next color is the 1082 chocolate. Again, make sure you keep that tip kind of sharp. And make sure you overlap your other colors a little bit so it blends it in. There is so many ways that you can smooth out the image too. If you like that look, I mean, it's up to you. You can always leave it a little rough because that'll give it some texture. But if you want to smooth it out, you can either just keep adding really, really light layers, and eventually that'll smooth it out. You can burnish it. I don't usually do that. Or you can take a blender pencil and you can blend it with a blender pencil, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Again, I typically don't use a blender pencil. I've been doing it by hand for a really long time now, but I watched a video of somebody else actually using it, and I decided to give it a shot again. I never really cared for the Prismacolor blender pencils, and now all of a sudden I really like them. But part of it too was I wanted to learn how to do it on my own and not rely on, I guess, other things to help me out. When I work with my polychromos and my SFs, I can't use that. I can't use like any of the liquids that you need to use because I have breathing issues. So I have to be really careful with what I can use, because if I don't, it will upset my asthma really bad. So I can't use like Gamasol or anything. I have to figure out how to do it by hand, and then just at some point be happy with the end result. And I'm trying to do this quickly, and I just got some on my wave there, so I have to figure out how to fix that. One thing to note if you're going to use your blender pencil is you want to make sure you have at least a couple layers down, or you won't have enough pigment to move around to use the blender pencil. I'm going to go in with my 941 light umber. I would recommend probably 3 layers. Before you use your blender pencil, if you're going to do that. I'm also not too worried about putting any white in here, because I'll, at the end, if I really want white in there for highlights that pop, I'll just use a white gel pen. Alright, I'm going back in again with my PC 1099 Espresso. I think what I'm going to do is pause this video for a minute, just finish up this part, get this third coat on here, and then I will go ahead and show you how to use the blender pen, or how I use the blender pen. Again, I'm not a professional, I do this for fun, so if I'm doing something wrong, you know, I'm doing something wrong. I'm here to have fun, and I hope you guys are too. I try not to be too hard on myself. I say that, but anybody who knows me knows at least my art. I try to be, I don't know, kind of a perfectionist, I guess. If I'm going to spend the time doing it, I want it to look good, but at the same time, I'm trying to cut myself some slack. 946 dark brown, and when I come back to you in a minute, I'll have the third coat on here. Third layer. Alright everyone, I put some light umber up on this part too, so it was the, I think, espresso I did on this side, and then light umber on this side to give it like a really big contrast there. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit on this. Give me 1 second so I can show you the joys of the blender pencil. So the blender pencil is PC 1077. You can get them pretty much anywhere, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Amazon, or I got these for a 2-pack. I think they were $2.99 off of Blick Arts. So I made sure to order several of them while I was there. Again, sharpened it to a tip. And then I'm just going to go, again, try to go in the same direction that you want the wood grain to be in. This part here is kind of therapeutic for me. Again, there are other ways to blend. You can keep adding layers. You can add something dark and then go a little lighter in between. That will help blend it. Or you can take all the work out of it and just use a blender pencil. You see what happens when you do that? Now all the blender pencil is, I believe, is wax. So you don't want to put like a ton on, because it could get a little hazy in a couple days. I mean, I don't usually have that that issue, but others have. And I believe once you do this, it would be very difficult to add layers to it. Probably not impossible, just a little on the difficult side. So if I want to add some shadows in, I might be able to do that, but you have to be like really careful. So I would recommend that you are quite happy with what you have before you smooth it out. You don't want to do this in between your layers, because again, it will stop it from accepting much more pigment. And this, I'm just trying to bring that up a little bit. Do notice this has saved me from having to add a lot of additional layers. course saves time. See how smooth that's getting? And I don't know if there are any rules about going light to dark or dark to light. I just kind of do whatever I feel like at that moment. You know, I noticed that if I have an area that's like got a really deep gradient, then I'm going to want to try to push it into that other area. So it's kind of just however I want to push that color. If I have the real light area is like really large and I want to bring that dark into it, then I'll start with dark and move to the light, and vice versa. I mean, that's basically what you're doing, is you're pushing around the pigment a little bit so it blends. So for me, I don't know if there's any rules, but I don't really pay attention to them. I just kind of go with my gut. All right, there we go, the main part of the ship. Go up here to the mask real quick. Sorry, I have a cat trying to come on camera. She wants her 5 minutes of fame. I'm gonna pause here for a second because, as you can see, my wonderful, beautiful cat Beaujolais has decided that she likes my image probably better than you guys, so she wanted to have a seat on it. So I'm going to give her a few minutes and then move her off, because obviously I can't finish my tutorial like this. Alright, so now we are on to the top of the picture. Let's do this area here. Again, I'm going to use PC 140, which is Eggshell, PC 939 Peach, and a little bit of light Umber 941, and then I might throw a little chocolate in. We'll see how it goes. So the first thing I'm going to do is use the PC 140, lay down a little bit of this as a base color. Again, I'm going to try to go with the direction that I want it to be when it's done. You can use the blending pencil and go this direction or the opposite direction, but you're not always going to take out the little lines if you do that. I made a second filming area in a different location in my house so that I could get back to doing this without the interruption of outside noise and my cat, the kids, the husband. You know how it goes, trying to keep the house quiet while you're filming, and everybody's home is not necessarily a good recipe. It's like trying to shoot a YouTube video in a cubicle with other people working around you. That said, I shot a 7-hour video the other day that I was going to do for a speed coloring, and because it's an older computer that I used and not this one, which is my main one, the file got corrupted. So now I'm scared to shoot a video on that because I wasted a lot of time and I don't have anything to show for it. That is my cat in the background throwing a temper tantrum and knocking stuff over because she's mad that I moved her off of this work. Hold on one sec. I think cats are like 2-year-olds. They like to throw temper tantrums when they don't get their way. So basically what I'm going to do is continue to add this color onto these two masks here. And now I'm going to go back in and I'm going to throw some light umber. And I'm only going to go, for now, and again, the point of this is to just do a really, really light layer to kind of know where you're going to put the color at. So I'm just using what Kerby's kind of already gotten outlined there, and that's where I'm putting this light umber at. I'm going to put a little more here too because that's a little further away, so and a little at the corners. And do the same thing here. You know, if you go really light and you don't like the way it's looking and you need to change something up, you'll be able to do that. If you go really heavy, you will not be able to do that. So I always encourage, at least on that first layer, that you just get the color down lightly so you can kind of see if you put it in the right spot, if you like the way that it's looking. Now I'm using the 939 peach. Just kind of bringing that color in around the brown. What I'm going to do is put another layer on these, and I'll go ahead and do these. I'm going to do them exactly the same way. So in this area here, I'm going to put the PC 140 eggshell over the entire thing, and then the darker areas here are going to have the the light umber, and then I'm going to go around that with the peach. So, and I'll be back in a minute. Alright everyone, so I went ahead and put on a couple of layers. I went ahead over here and added the colors that I needed, and now I'm going to go ahead and blend them out. And then at the corners here, I might go ahead and, when I'm done, add a little bit of that chocolate to give like just a little bit of red into that corner. And I'm probably going to do the same thing I just did and start one, and then I'll come back on. I don't have a whole lot of layers on here. I don't know if you can see. It's a little more difficult to blend with this because there's not a lot of layers. So the more layers you have, the easier it is to blend. And then I'm going to throw a little bit of the 1082 chocolate, just right at like what would be the kind of like the deepest, darkest areas, just to give it a little bit more like of an aged look. Blend that down into I might actually throw another layer on this to help blend it some more. Alright, be back in a minute. Alright guys, I finished up the mass here. I'm sorry. I know I'm saying that wrong. The sails. I finished up the sails here. I did go ahead and add a little bit more chocolate into like these spots right here to try to like just give it a tiny bit of depth. And again, I wanted it to look kind of weathered. I put some chocolate in here. Again, it doesn't hurt to, you know, just throw a little bit in to try to give it a little bit more definition. I'm going where there would really be creases again up against that light umber. Just a little bit, not anything extreme. So, and then what I'm going to do, I think, is we're going to paint or color this right here. Get that going, and I think I'm going to do the same thing that I did down here. So we're going to use the espresso. We're going to do that on the darker parts. Might even add just a little tiny bit of black. Try to help blend it a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit of the dark brown in. And some of the chocolate. And the light umber. And then I'm going to put the light umber here too. So it's really a lot of contrast. And then I'm going to put like just a little bit of black at the bottom there. Help with shadows. And we're going to blend all of that in. We'll also go over the rails here. Again, you're going to have to make sure you have a super sharp tip, or if you have any polychromos, you can use those. And I actually started using chocolate, and I think it's too dark for this spot. So I'm going to switch up and use the light umber. And I am putting this on kind of heavy. I'm not going to layer this railing. And I think I'm also going to do this, I guess it's a bow. I think I'm going to do that with the light umber as well. And I'll go through the spots like that with probably the espresso, just like I did on the masks. And I'm just going to go behind one more time, add another layer to this, and then we'll go ahead and blend it out, see what we get. I think for the ropes too, I might do the light umber. And this is where I think polychromos are better whenever you have these like really small detail spots, because the polychromos hold a point longer. It's a lot easier to do those, and the Prismacolors are softer, so you don't get that like nice firm, like straight rigid end. It's kind of like a little blurry. Now I can add a little detail to this stuff, but it's really small, so I'm not sure how much good it would do to do that. I'm going to go back in with some dark brown. Just kind of throw in a little bit of excuse me, shadows. Again, there's not a whole lot of room to work, and Prismas are really soft. It's going to be like really difficult to get into little spots here. So don't beat yourself up too much about it if you can't get in there and do it. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and add my extra layers onto here, and then we'll go ahead and smooth that out. Alright everyone, I went ahead and added my other layers and smoothed them out. I had also realized I missed this up here, so I went ahead, same thing, I think I did espresso. I did a little bit of chocolate on the outside of the espresso, and then I did the really light umber. And I went ahead and finished all that up, and I think I'm going to call this one done for now. I appreciate you guys staying with me until the end here, and this is the finished ship. Alright guys, until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, color happy, and remember, shh, it's our little secret.